What a beautiful day for a story about photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process of making glucose, which is known as food for cells, from light energy. The formula for glucose is carbon dioxide and water in the presence of light energy makes glucose, oxygen, and water. We need to know where photosynthesis takes place. It takes place inside of plant cells in an organelle called a chloroplast. Here's a plant cell. It's quite stylized. Giant vacuole in the middle. You can see the nucleus on the right-hand side. And then you can see all of the tiny green structures around the outside of the cell. Those are chloroplasts. Those are the organelles where photosynthesis takes place. The cells in the leaves of a plant have many chloroplasts. You'll see this in future diagrams where many of the chloroplasts are aligned along the outside ridge of the cell. How does a chloroplast make glucose from sunlight? Well, here's a diagram of a chloroplast, and this is as if we cut the chloroplast open so that you can see the inside. On the outside, it just looks like a bean. It's a bean-shaped organelle. The chloroplast has a pigment inside of it called chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is what allows us to see green because it absorbs all of the other colors in the light spectrum except for green, and it actually transmits green back to our eyes. The chlorophyll pigment then absorbs the sunlight. The energy from the sunlight is used by the chlorophyll to break apart molecules of carbon dioxide and water. The carbon dioxide enters the plant through the underside of the leaves in a structure called a stomata, and the water enters the plant through the roots. The chlorophyll then rearranges the atoms of carbon dioxide and water and makes glucose. I'm going to tell you a little story to make it easier for you to understand how glucose is made. It's called the story of glucose. Here is a chloroplast that is present in a plant cell. It's a small organelle that is the site of photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is the process whereby the plant makes food. It makes the food from sunlight using carbon dioxide and water. Glucose is food. It's also a sugar. And so the plant can't go to the grocery store and buy food, so it has to make its own. So it makes glucose. Chloroplasts have a pigment in them called chlorophyll. And for the purpose of our story, I'm going to say that this is Philomena. Philomena represents chlorophyll. She has a very nice big sword. Philomena likes to put her sword out in the sunlight so that the sword can absorb the energy from sunlight, like chlorophyll absorbs the energy from sunlight. When Philomena's sword has absorbed the sunlight, it gets powerful, and Philomena can chop up molecules of water and carbon dioxide. She puts them on her little cutting board and chops them up nice and finely. Then she mixes all of the atoms in a bowl. You see there's carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms that she mixed up in her bowl. And she ends up making sugar or food. So the process by which she makes that food is by taking carbon dioxide and water, chopping them up and rearranging them to make glucose. Now, sometimes she has a little oxygen and water left over, and what the plant does with the oxygen is releases it into the atmosphere through the same structures where the carbon dioxide came in, through the stomata. And water is also released through the stomata in the form of water vapor. And that's the process of transpiration, where the plant releases the water.